So, if someone's to ask, like, who's Irving?
So I was born in Puerto Rico. I came here at a very young age, moved to Clinton, and was raised by a single mother who was a teacher here in Worcester County, specializing in special ed. So, for me, it was really difficult. We had a lot of financial difficulty with 4 children and stuff. So we moved around a lot, looking for stable housing because the income for a single teacher.
So it's kind of like you had the experience. You were living the experience before you started your organization. So that's where you get your experience from, right? It's actually living it.
Sure. So a lot of my experience in the home improvement industry mainly comes from when my mother bought her first home. So when she bought her first home as a first-time home buyer, she hadn't gone through the training certifications that they have available today that are very sophisticated.
Sure.
So when she bought a fixer-upper, she didn't really anticipate all the damage that the home had.
Okay.
And so when she was doing the modifications, she took out a lot of loans for the remodeling of the home.
Right.
And unfortunately, a lot of those projects, when she was hiring contractors,
yes.
The projects were not being done to compliance, were not being done properly.
Right.
She was having money and materials stolen from her. So she had the absolute worst case scenario. And by 2007, she was one of the homeowners that, in combination with the banking and the loans and everything, the modifications and the contractors.
Basically, you're saying she was in it by herself. She was
Yeah,
doing the
yeah.
right thing. She had the right thought of, trying to get home ownership, especially the fact you just shared with us that prior to owning a home, you were bouncing around all over the place like that unstabilized home. You finally get a home, or your mother finally invests into a home in something where you feel as though that, okay, you got a piece of the pie, we have real estate. The next step is let's fix this property up, and so that it could be habitable, it could be comfortable for us, and
Right.
also it could be an investment for the future. And so then all of a sudden she meets these contractors and she goes through this whole experience with you, and then all of a sudden you're saying, well, at first you probably thought, wow, we have people to come help us and put this house together with us, but they wasn't looking at your best interest, is what you're saying.
It wasn't.
In some instances.
So I was pretty young then, so I personally couldn't say whether or not they were looking for my best interest. I think what was happening was that a lot of people in our community, in the Hispanic community, rely on our network to help each other.
Sure.
And so she had reached out to a lot of people who said that they could help her with remodeling projects, and they just didn't have the skills and capacity to be able to do them. And as a result of that, consequently ended up leading to major disasters within the home, causing excessive damage and things like that
Yes.
later on had to be done again, and it just got more and more expensive. And after 3, 4, 5 years of doing this,
Oh, yeah.
it's compounding.
Right.
And so she ended up in a situation where she was she had lost over $80,000 in home improvement, and that was a significant amount of money, and it forced her to basically go into foreclosure. And so when I was in my transition, exiting high school and going into college, so she wouldn't lose the house, I had 5 jobs. So I was doing landscaping, construction with my brother, I was doing all sorts of things to try to just keep her from losing the house, and I bought the house with her in 2007 so she wouldn't lose it. We had to go through a whole new modification because we had a really bad experience with Wells Fargo.
At that particular time, Wells Fargo was going through his own thing.
Well, yeah, they were going through the bailouts, right? And it's convenient that they get bailouts, but people that are directly impacted by it don't. And so for me,
and interest rate and everything else.
Yeah, there was just a lot of different things, just the structuring of the loan, the interest rates, the amortization of the actual loan itself. It's just the payment. It was just a lot of things.
Loan.
So for us, it was really difficult and frustrating to kind of go through, and it created, not just for me, but in my entire family, created a ripple effect.
Right.
And consequently ended up creating an environment that was really unhealthy for us.
Yes.
The house was still in disorder, she was really unhappy, she was,
Right.
she was depressed because this was all happening, and
Of
she bought the house to give us a great, place to live.
Right.
And it was really hard for me to see that, and initially I was going to school for robotic engineering. I had been involved in robotics all through high school, won 2 robotic competitions in high school
Right.
nationally, and that was my passion. And because of this, it kind of pushed me towards a different direction of trying to figure out how I could solve this for my mom.
Right.
And that's what sort of drove me towards construction and landscaping with my brother.
Right.
And so I formalized my education in business entrepreneurship. I finished my degree in engineering, but I then pursued business entrepreneurship management.
It's amazing that you took that whole experience and you said you had conviction that you were going to go out and learn. You was going to go out and educate yourself, as the old saying goes. Education is power.
Yeah.
And you wanted to help your family, and you were determined to make a big difference, take this situation that wasn't so good, and you're going to say, and you said to yourself, I'm not going to allow this to happen again. I'm going to protect my mom, protect my family, and I'm going to go out there and get educated in the process. So when did the company aspect come into play?
Sure. So after getting a lot of experience in a lot of different industries, I went to go work for, right after I graduated college, I went to go work for one of the nation's largest home improvement companies. Mm-hmm. And I worked my way up. I was very fortunate to be in a leadership position there. I helped train and mentor over 300 consultants across the country. And I got to learn what it was like to go from a company that was doing $87 million to $360 million in 4 years, and got to learn that structure. And it just made me really unhappy to see how the existing big systems were looking at communities as just profit centers, right? And that frustrated me, and I eventually felt really unhappy, and I resigned so that I could focus on how to really rebuild the wealth in our communities in a way that was honest and transparent. And I was looking for different business models. I was traveling the world, looking at different architecture, different business models, talking to different cultures and different organizations to really figure out like what really brought people together when it connected to business.
Okay. So you're trying to bring the human aspect to it because you lived it. So you were there. So how was that experience? Was one, you lived that experience. Two, you're actually working for a company. Not to say that's what they were practicing, but then you still can understand that they could have done a little bit better and had maybe a little bit more compassion in some sense. But I know business is business too as well.
Yeah, so it's not to put down the company. They were an amazing organization.
Of course.
But for me, it wasn't what made me happy, right? Like when I had to focus exclusively on every opportunity, I had to close it right then and there, and it was based on my return on investment per appointment, and that's how they determine success.
Right.
And based on efficiencies and not so much on the relationships that you're building within your community.
Yes.
For me, I came from the community, so I knew who I was working with. Whereas a lot of these organizations came from out of state and came in with a very sophisticated infrastructure, and for me, it just didn't feel, like it was what made me happy. So
name your company again.
Irving Consulting Group.
All right. So when was the birth of the company, and so now tell us about the services that you offer.
Yeah. So the company was formally incorporated in 2016. And the services that we originally started with was to offer contracting services in which we would work with contractors that we did extensive background checks on. So we would look for companies that had high ethics, that believed in doing things the right way, that had high credentials. We developed partnerships with manufacturers and distributors in our communities to really help connect us with the right builders, so that we could ensure that when we were working with homeowners, we could do it in a way that was really transparent.
So you had to create a pool of people, a pool of organizations, a pool of companies, so that then you can start your consulting to offer your services.
Yeah. So
because you would refer to those companies,
right?
Or those organizations.
Well, it first started as the contractors hiring us to help them with the sales part, which was basically we were a project concierge. So the contractors would hire us to help them with educating the homeowners and helping them improve the communication. So we helped about 5 different companies win awards in our community since 2012. And so I've been doing this freelancing through college as well. So the company formally incorporated in 2016, but I had quite a bit of experience prior to that. And so for us, it was really important that the companies that we were working with were companies that were not just about the money. Although money is important, it wasn't the underlying factor.
But it was some human aspect and have some compassion, especially because the audience that you're going after, they may not know, well, in most instances, they do not know what's going on as far as when it comes to their properties. And you experienced it yourself, as you just shared with me. Right,
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, so what we ultimately did from there is that we eventually started doing a lot of workshops. And in 2016, we formally started working with NeighborWorks Homeownership of America at over here on Green Street here in Worcester. And what we were doing is monthly first-time homebuyer workshops. So we were educating the homeowners on how to look at the homes, what to look out for as far as the interior, exterior, what are the really signs of concerns that you should be aware of before you buy a home. And if you do notice those things, how you go about finding a good contractor to help you with it, things like that.
Okay. So what's going to happen basically is you're talking to us about, this is Irving Consulting Group, and thank you for sharing that information with me, and also especially thank you for sharing that information in reference to what you personally went through with your family.
Of course.
That was incredible, because now what you did was took that experience, educated yourself, created an organization, and so this is where you are right now. So tell us about your organization before we go. How can they find you?
Sure, so you can find us on Instagram at homes_ICG. Facebook is under Irving Consulting, or you can look for us on Facebook under Homes ICG as well. We have our business-to-business services for contractors as well as direct-to-consumer under Homes ICG. And then our website is homesicg.com there as well, or you could certainly contact me directly via email at irving@homesicg.com too. I'm very responsive, so I try to make sure that we get back to everyone in a prompt manner.
Hey, I have some personal and professional situations myself. I'm looking to work with you. Thank you for joining me here.
Absolutely.
On Unity
Thank
in
you
the
for having
community.
me.
All right, and we're going to make things happen right here in this community.
Looking
okay?
forward to it. Thank you so much.
Once again, I'm Ernie Floyd, host of Unity in the Community. Join me where we feature our guests. We embrace the city of Worcester's diverse cultural communities. We talk about health, healthy lifestyles. We talk about all the good things right here in our city of Worcester: music, arts, and living good right here in the city of Worcester. That could be accomplished. So stay with us. You listen to Unity in the Community on Unity Radio on Worcester's Community Connection. Awesome, man.
Thank you.